you are very welcome. I am Ahonu, and this is my lovely Aingeal Rose. And we want to introduce to you today something new that we're doing. It is professional book coaching for you for your book. It's the joyful steps from idea to author in an affordable 12-week group coaching program. Now, here's the thing. I'm doing something crazy affordable. I want to coach 3 or 4 would-be authors for an hour a week for 12 whole weeks to get their books properly on their way. We sent out a little questionnaire recently and found that a large number of people had the problem of being blocked, being stuck, procrastination, having a book in them but not knowing how to get it out. So we do have a little unannounced gift for you at the end, which is how to end procrastination forever. It's a little checklist. So stay to the end and find out how to get that. But first, let me do a little introduction. We have this little character here with us who we've designed to be our coach, our mascot, our troubadour, our musketeer, and our writing wizard. And Aingeal Rose has suggested that we call him Magus. He's going to appear and disappear.
Going to work magic.
He's going to work magic. He really is going to work magic for us as we go through this presentation. Now, I'm going to ask Aingeal Rose to give a little bit about us. I do have more to say about it that she doesn't know about, but if you wouldn't mind, just a quick introduction, Aingeal Rose.
Well, we welcome everyone today. We are Gil Rosen Tejano, and some people have known us for many years with the spiritual work we do, but we are publishers, and we've had such pleasure publishing people's books, and we've had such pleasure when they finally get a manuscript finished and they get to hold it in their hands when it arrives at the doorstep. And it's just such a privilege for us to be offering this program for you today, because we do know that people do have trouble actually starting or beginning. We've been around forever, particularly in the consciousness field. Most of the books we publish are consciousness related, but they don't have to be. And so this is entirely new, and we are very, very excited. It's actually Ahonu who will be your teacher. And for those of you who don't know, he is a magnificent teacher. So go ahead, Ahonu. That's all I can say.
We've authored ourselves over 100 books of our own, and we've published over 1,000. And we've designed over 500 book covers, posters, graphics for clients. We've written over 4,000 profound statements from the Akashic cards. We've broadcast over 300 weekly episodes of our own podcast, and we've created over 300 YouTube videos to date. Now, I'm always cautious about tooting our own horn, and Aingeal Rose would say that it's something that she and I both dislike in webinars. But it was important for me to mention those few accolades there to show you that you can do the same. We are giving you everything we know in order for you to be an author of your own book. So there's vast experience there that's coming to you. That is a gift. It's our gift to you. It's a marvelous thing, really, when you consider that what we've achieved in the world of publishing is available to you. So let's move on a little bit and have a look at how we're going to help you today.
We know the joy of having a published manuscript out there into the world to share your knowledge, to even if it's just a story that you want to have written that's been in your mind for many years. It could be your own life story. But there's nothing more fantastic than having Mr. UPS drive up to your door with a box of your books and you opening them and holding them in your hand. And we do recognize that many people have trouble getting started. They go through writer's block. They go through all kinds of questions. So hopefully in this webinar, you'll get a little taste of what you'll get through the coaching program, and you'll get to ask questions at the end. So I don't need to dwell anymore on us, just that we're publishers, we're authors ourselves. We've done many workshops in the consciousness field.
Okay. Now, for anybody who knows us in person, that these images you're seeing on the screen there are pictures that look great. They make us look like 25 or 26 years old. And
right.
The reason I put it up there is because we also are expert at book covers. And it's one of the things you can do with book covers is to make something look like what it's not. And I'm pointing it out only because there's magic awaits you in terms of what we're going to be doing for the next 6 months, including making you look a lot younger than what you actually are. Aingeal Rose said we're not going to say any more. There's a couple of things about us that I want to point out, and that is that we're personal and business coaching and counseling to thousands of people all over the world. The reason I'm mentioning that is because we do help people grow in awareness, and we do that through writing and publishing so that you and your readers will be able to live, love, and experience personal sovereignty and success. And we're going to help you to do that. Now, the other thing is we've authored, Aingeal Rose said, 15 published of our own so far, but we've actually authored 100 books in the process. I think it's 84 left still to publish, but they're coming out. And we've published over 1,000. But we've also designed over 500 book covers, posters, and graphics for clients. And we've written over 4,000 profound statements from the Akashic Records. We've broadcast over 300 weekly episodes of our podcast and created over 300 YouTube videos to date. These are little things that will come up during our 12 weeks of coaching, because we will show you how to multi-purpose things so as to spread your message far and wide. Now, I want to show a couple of the recent books that we've done, and particularly the one in the center, which is Clockwork Purple. And I want to point that one out because it's a collection of short stories that was written by a group of people local to us in Bend, Oregon. And how it started was we sat in a room in a coffee shop, actually, that was a bookshop. And somebody would go to a book and take out one line, and we would use that as a prompt to write a story. And we would give ourselves 45 minutes to write using that prompt. And that led to a whole book that we called Clockwork Purple. And I think there's like 12 authors in there who use that same method to create something from nothing. So this is what we want to introduce to you today so that you won't be stuck. These are 3 books that we've published recently. The one in the center is A Year Without Food by an Israeli author, and that is great sales on that through Amazon and throughout the world. The one on the right is one we've done recently for a lady in Ireland who is very much at the cutting edge of pre and perinatal psychotherapy. She wanted to publish her specialty. She wanted to really put out what she has discovered over the last number of years and publish it for the world. So you can see that people are using their different skills and abilities, their different gifts, the love of what they do in different ways. And the one on the left is our good friend Daryl, his book, Making Togetherness Obvious, which is a great work from his years of experience as a pastor. And he is putting that all together in the book called Making Togetherness Obvious. And it's a great, great read. These are a quick look at all the other publications that we have out there. We're not going to dwell any more on that, except to say that when it comes to writing and publishing, I think we know what we're talking about. And we want to bring that gift to you. We're going to go through this program about how to become an author with joyful steps, really, from your idea all the way. And we're doing it by way of a group coaching program. And we're going to start by imagining that you could write a book without fear of failure. Strangely, we have found that that is one of the single biggest blockages that people encounter. They feel they're not good enough and all of that. Well, we are going to blow that out of the water because we believe there's a book in everybody and we believe you can do it as well. We're also addressing this to people who may already have written a book but haven't gotten it over the final hurdle.
Or haven't finished it.
Yeah.
Haven't put it out there in the public.
Yeah. There could be all kinds of reasons for that. And I could tell you a story about my personal life where there was an aunt of mine wrote a book one time called
Something about Under the Stairs.
Under the Stairs. She kept it under the stairs. And that's where it stayed. I remember reading it as a child in an old typewritten manuscript. I read it and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. It was like a true story, autobiography of her going through the First World War and all of that kind of stuff. It was heavy reading, but fascinating. She called it Under the Stairs because that's where her father stored all his arms and ammunition. And that's where she stored her book. and it never got published. It remained under the stairs. We don't want that to happen to you. So imagine having a successful writer and publisher mentor you and support you and guide you as you write. And imagine that someone is giving you guidance to not only write that book, but help you all the way to the finish line so you will be ready for full-scale distribution. And it's ideal for you if you have a book as an idea in your head and you can't get it down on paper. And we encounter that quite a lot, don't we, Aingeal Rose? If you've started your book but you can't get it finished, if you constantly encounter that old issue of writer's block, if you don't think you're good enough of a writer to publish it, or if you simply don't know your next steps. The world of publishing and writing is immensely complex, even though it has got a lot easier these days with Amazon and self-publishing. But it's still complex in terms of how to lay out your book, what to include in it, what not to include it, how many chapters, all that kind of thing. So if you simply don't know what your next step is, this is going to be ideal for you. And we want to make a promise to you. And that promise is that I will teach you all I know about book writing. And that's a huge promise. You are going to get everything from my heart so that you will be successful and you will write your book. I promise that to you. If you stay with this program and do everything that we do as we nurture you and coach you along the way, you will write your book. And the final promise is, because we are our own publishers also, you will not encounter this issue of submitting your book to a publisher and find all those rejection slips that used to happen. I know I did it myself many, many years ago. I had something like 124 rejection slips. The world of publishing has changed now because you can self-publish it. But this is what people were afraid of, was this rejection. Our promise to you is that you will automatically be included in our publishing program. And that is a promise and a guarantee to you. So I'm going to teach you how to overcome overwhelm. Isn't that one of the big things, Aingeal Rose?
It is. Yep.
It's all about how you set goals and milestones and benchmarks and how to work your way through them in an easy, joyful, step-by-step way. And we're going to show you also the proper tools to use for successful writing, because many times people find that that alone is a stumbling block. Which tools do I use? Which software do I use? Where do I find what I need? Where to begin? We also teach you how many chapters to have and not to have, because successful books, interestingly enough, have 5, 7, 9, or 13 chapters. And that's not the case across the board. It's not written in stone, but we find from research that that is the case. So we encourage you and show you how to structure your book so as to be as successful as possible with all the knowledge that we have about that. We're also going to show you how to transcribe your work. And Aingeal Rose finds that very, very useful, because a lot of times she will record information and downloads, and the issue is, how do you get that onto the paper? So we're going to show you how to do that. We're going to show you how to plot out and easily rearrange your story. A lot of times people find that, oh, I wrote about this first and I should have written about it last, or how do I move this part of the story back there? How do I shift that paragraph to be part of the conclusion? And this causes all of that overwhelm. We're going to show you easy ways so that you can restructure and rearrange your story very, very easily and very successfully. And then we're also going to show you how to multi-purpose everything. And in fact, we're going to do a little bit of that today. We're going to show you how we repurpose things for maximum success so that you will be able to have unlimited content. And that's a huge thing, because people also come to us and they say, oh, I've nothing to write about, or I have something to write about, but now I need to find more content. Where do I get more content? We're going to show you how to do that. Something else that comes up is many times people use images in their book and their book covers that are not royalty free. And that's a crucial thing, because you can find yourself in deep trouble if you don't use royalty free images. We'll show you where to find those and how to use them and how to create your book cover and how to use these images in your book also. We're going to design and create your book cover if you're lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've done hundreds of them, and much, much more. So there's a lot included in what we're presenting to you, what we're going to cover. Well, let's talk just for a moment about how to multi-purpose everything. Aingeal Rose, you remember we sat on the top of a place in Bend called Pilot Butte.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Aingeal Rose was in the Akashic Records, isn't that right?
I think so. One of the times.
Yeah. And you were downstepping information.
Mm-hmm.
And I was recording it. And so what we did was we took that recording and transcribed it. And that then became a podcast. The podcast, we attached images to it, like what you see on the screen with the sunset on Pilot Butte. And that became an episode of a YouTube video. And then we found that there was so much content she had downloaded, we needed to make 2 parts of it. So we created part 1 podcast, part 2 podcast, part 1 YouTube video, and part 2. This is how you multi-purpose everything. Another thing we did was we did a session one time in the Akashic Records of, is the tunnel of light a trick? And that was the single most popular podcast that we did in all the years we've been doing it. And I don't know, there must be over 500,000 downloads of it, or some figure like that. But then we knew that if it was that popular and if it was something that people wanted, we needed to transcribe it. And that then became chapters in Aingeal Rose's series of books called Answers from the Akashic Records. So at this point in time, we have 100 of those. 13 are published. The rest of them are all underway. And you can see how we get the content, we multi-purpose it, it becomes books, and it becomes podcasts and YouTube videos. And this is how we use the book covers then. So we take the image that we've got for our book cover, and it becomes a manual, it becomes a CD cover, it becomes the graphic that you'll find on Instagram, or the YouTube cover, for example, for the video, or it's what you'll see if you were to read one of the books on a digital device, for example, Kindle, yeah, you'll see it on your cell phone, for example. So this is how we multi-purpose the book covers as well. Now, if you are ever stuck for ideas, this is something that Aingeal Rose did a few years ago. She spent, I think,
a long time ago, huh?
A long time ago. But do you remember you were teaching tarot?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it was necessary to move it from one-to-one, where she was teaching one-to-one to people. And it was necessary for us then to turn it into a book. So we basically recorded her teaching, transcribed it, and they became chapters in the book. And this is a beautifully illustrated little book by Aingeal Rose. I think we published that in 2010, I think, Tarot for Beginners. So this is something that you can do too. If you have something that you love doing, or you love teaching, record it, transcribe it, make it chapters in your book, and now you've got a book ready to publish.
Okay, I want to say something here.
Yeah.
I want to reinforce to people that you know a lot more than you think you know. Because until you sit down and you actually flesh out, if we said to you, okay, start making some bullet points about your book. You know, what is it you would like to tell people? What is it you'd like them to know? What is it about your own life experience that you could write about that would actually help someone else who's going through the same thing? And if you just start making little bullet points, you'll be surprised to find how much you do know on any particular topic. And it's that knowledge that you discover that starts to make up the chapters in your book. And so we want to encourage you to say, don't think that you don't have anything to say. I myself, throughout my life, I'd always wanted to be an author. And yet I'd sit down and put pen in hand, and I had no idea where to start. I just didn't have a clue. So over the years, once I started teaching, it finally gelled what I had to do for the book. The same thing, the same steps that I took to do teaching or to do healing work were the same steps that I needed to write about. And my books now, even though they're predominantly transcripts from the Akashic Records, I have other books in me that are about my life that I haven't written yet and things like that. But it's like art. You know, when you mention art to people, they say, well, I'm not an artist. I have no talent. And you say, well, anybody can learn anything if they go to art school. You don't have to have a natural talent to be a writer or to be an artist. All of that is taught or can be enhanced if you do have a natural talent. The use of words, the use of sentences, where you put them, all of that is things that you'll learn through a coaching program. They're guidelines, they're help to help you move through how to say something, what's the point you want to get across, how does it relate to the whole subject matter. So we want to encourage you to take the steps to go forward, because there is nothing more rewarding than seeing your book in print, seeing your name on it, seeing it out there, even if it's just on Amazon. The fact that millions and millions of people go to Amazon every day and look through books in your particular field, it's so rewarding to be included in those people, because, as you know, there can be many, many, many people writing about the same subject, but we're not attracted to every single person. You know, we're unique, so that, you know, what we're attracted to is different. That's why it doesn't matter how many books are out there on the same subject. It's the same if you're not writing about anything true, but you're writing a novel or you're writing fiction. Have fun with that. You know, I mean, books of all ages. We oftentimes go to Barnes and Noble and we sit in there and we work in there. And part of the reason we do that is because it's very inspiring just to be surrounded by books, to be surrounded by people who are perusing the shelves and they're so serious and they're so interested. There's books for children, there's books for adults, there's books for teens. Don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself, because one of the things that'll happen in this course is your imagination will get stimulated. And once that happens, you start getting really, really excited about what you can actually say. We went and listened to a woman last night who was doing her book launch in Barnes and Nobles. And it was a whimsical story. She only read a little section of it. And it was amusing, and it was, you know, it took you into places you'd go as a child, and it was delightful in that way. And she must have been in her 60s, and she's just publishing this. This was her first book. So there's no limit to what you can do with your imagination. And what we're here to do is to guide you through so that your book comes out understandable, legible, interesting, and fun. And that's the main
And
thing.
fun,
Each
yeah,
week
yeah.
will be a lot of fun.
Yeah. There's
Okay.
something else that you reminded me to say, and that was that if you are a solver of problems, and I know that many of you are, you can actually take that and turn it into a book. And here's a perfect example of what we did with that, because we found a lot of people were coming to us with this issue of procrastination. And they were saying, I'm bedeviled with I procrastinate all the time. I put things off. I want to do this. I never do. Something else crops up. Something else comes into my life. And we found that it was necessary for us to offer some kind of help and resolution for that. And we documented it. And it turned out to be a book. So now we have a book out there called End Procrastination Forever, because we researched it and studied it and found out what was going on. And we found little tips and tricks to help resolve that problem. And it became a book. So if you're a problem solver of any kind, it could be that you're in the health business, you're a counselor, it could be that you're in service, you're in stores or whatever, wherever you are, whatever it is you're doing, you help people. And if you document what you do and solve their problems for them, that's a book. And this is a perfect example for it. So that same book, End Procrastination Forever, here's the multi-purposing of that. You can see that we turned it into CDs, it became digital books, it became a checklist, it became the physical book, the print book, and in all kinds of different formats.
And you can create a workshop. If you write a book like that, that is a helping subject matter, you can turn it into a workshop. You can have your book be your study guide. You can have your book be your calling card. And just to tease Ahonu, the book that he wrote called The Reincarnation of Columbus, that sat in your attic, that subject matter, for 25 years.
I know about
And it wasn't
25 years.
until you were moving and clearing out the attic that you found that you had documented an experience that you had about the loss of your child. And it took you 25 years to publish that. So we know about procrastination, and I'm sure many of you are in the same situation. Where do I have the time? Can I make the commitment? But let's just look at this as something that is going to be so fun to do.
Yes.
And so rewarding at the end. And so the fact that you can multi-purpose this is just even better. But do consider that whatever you're offering people as knowledge, you can put it into many forms, but you can also teach it. There's a wide range of stuff that you'll be able to do. And you'll be surprised how many people you help, or how many people write you and say, I went through the same thing. Oh my God, thank you for letting me know that. That helped me so much. And like I say, even if it's a fun book, it could be something as simple as a coloring book. It could be a child's book. All of those things, they're just fun. And you'll find that people appreciate it. And there's millions of people in the world. So don't worry that you're not going to sell any books.
Yeah. And also, we're going to stop this business of comparing yourself to others too, because some people say, well, I want to write a children's book, but there's millions of children's book out there and mine won't rank. No, we published a book recently for a man whose friend was killed on a mountain, and he left his widow and children penniless, more or less, really. And this friend chimed in and wrote a little children's book so that all the proceeds from that would go to support the family. And that was a beautiful thing, and it was a beautiful project for us to be involved in.
And it's a nice book.
Yeah. So here's the question. What can you multi-purpose? Now, you don't have to answer this live. You don't have to answer it this second. But after this, do consider, what is it that you can multi-purpose in your life? What is it that you're good at? What is it that you love? What is it that you can utilize in various formats? And the next question is, what is your love? Now, I know this is a question that I find annoying sometimes when it comes up, because it keeps coming up in psychoanalysis and psychotherapy and all sorts of things. What is your love? But if you're doing what you love, you will find no obstacles. And this is what we love. And we love helping people. And we want to help you. So this is our format of doing what we love. If you know yours, publish it. This is what we want to help you with. And then the question is, could that love of yours be your book? I think it can. Okay, now, this is where the rubber hits the road, as they say, because we've encountered overwhelm so many times, even in ourselves, but also with other people. And they tell us about writer's block, or they don't know how to prepare to write. They don't know what the parts of a book are, the introduction and the foreword and we call front matter and back matter. They don't know how to get their juices flowing, Sometimes they're in the flow and the juices are flowing, but they're in a restaurant or they're in a lift or somewhere and they can't. So we're going to tackle all these things. A lot of times also, people don't know exactly what their audience needs or who their audience is, even. In a way, they're writing for themselves, not for others. And that's included with that target marketing part. Another thing that we find overwhelms people is the whole business of the clock, that you have to write for a certain period of time. Now, you will remember we mentioned about Clockwork Purple back there. That was why we called it Clockwork Purple, because we were writing against the clock. We found that to be really stimulating and evocative, wasn't it? But it can have a negative too. It can be that you feel overwhelmed by not getting enough written in the time or not completing what you said you did. So we tackled that whole business about the timer and the clock too. We also give you the tools not to use and the tools to use. And then, of course, people always feel, well, how do I get reviews for my book? Or nobody will read it first for me to get my reviews, to put my reviews on the back cover. So we solve those technicalities for you too. Now, here's a big red X. We solve all those problems for you. We overcome the overwhelm because we do this in a joyful step-by-step way. So it's achievable and it's easy. Let's look quickly at where the overwhelm can come from, because this is a list I wrote at one point in time, and I crossed out your old tools because I was looking at these tools because they were in the marketplace that people can use for writing books, like Adobe InDesign, Zoho Writer, Evernote, XWriter, LibreOffice, Ulysses, Notepad, you name it. Forget them. That's all old stuff. That's overwhelm. We'll show you what you need. And what you need are 3 new tools. Now, I say new, tongue in cheek, because you need a notepad and a pen, and there's nothing new about that. I'm not suggesting for a second that you write longhand. You can, and sometimes you should, because that's a whole subject on its own, what we call transformational writing. But a notepad and a pen. The next thing you need is a laptop, a recorder, or a smartphone, and everybody has one. Now, why do you need one of those? Because we mentioned about transcribing and multipurposing. If you have ideas that are coming to you in your head, you simply record them on your laptop, on a little voice recorder, or on your smartphone. And what have you done? You've more or less got a chapter. So we will come back to that and we will show you how that's actually done. Now, I said there was 3 new tools. The final tool is you. And that's it. That's all you need. And you will construct books like you've never seen. The little recorder that I mentioned, in terms of the costs associated with this, you can go into, where do they sell the electronics?
Best Buy, you got it right.
Best Buy, yeah, Best Buy or any of those little places, Office Max, and you can get a voice recorder for $44, and I've seen them cheaper. Now, that's exactly what I use too. And I record on that and I simply transcribe it. When I say transcribe, some people may also feel, oh, how do I transcribe that? Because many of us, and I know if you're my age, you have visions of the secretary in the office with the foot pedal and the transcription and all of that. No. Look at this. You can get transcription done online by a company called Temi.com, Temi.com. Write that down. 10 cents a minute. What that means is, if you've been recording for an hour, it'll cost you $6 to have it transcribed start to finish. And the accuracy is astonishing. Speech to text transcription is all the rage now with artificial intelligence. That price has actually dropped to 9 cents a minute, and others are offering it even cheaper. So there's no reason why you can't record what's going on in your head, record a conversation, record an interview, record a course, a class, a workshop, transcribe it, and bingo, you have a chapter.
We take our little recorder with us everywhere we go, because oftentimes things come up while you're driving. You get ideas when you're visiting with friends, when you're by yourself, and you just pick up your little recorder, keep it in your purse or keep it on your person, and you just click on the recorder and you say what you're thinking and go back to it later. And so many times too, the few times we have forgotten it, we say, oh geez, we could kick ourselves for not having our recorder with us. Yeah. So it's helpful in terms of when you get downloads, when you get inspiration, and to just be able to tuck it into your recorder, go back to it later, see how it fits to your manuscript, and go from there. But it is an invaluable tool, and we encourage everybody to get one.
Yeah. Okay, so we're just going to change subject right now real quick, only to show you what our good friend Daryl said by way of a testimonial. Daryl said, best writing course I've ever taken. I paid $5,000 for a course like this in 2012 that did not deliver in 12 months what this did in 3 weeks. And he is now proud to call himself an author. We also mentioned earlier on Shirley Ward, whose book called Healing Birth, Healing Earth. She said, I have in my hand our book, and what a wonderful creation. Now, I can't fit on this slide here the accolades and the praise and the joy and delight that she wrote to us over several weeks after receiving her book. I mean, she was just over the moon, wasn't
Well,
she?
and her story is she's 77 years old.
Yeah.
And this was a book that she had previously published years ago. It was called something else. And she wanted it revised and she wanted things to add and subtract. So she enlisted your coaching help to help her do that.
Right.
And it brought her back to life in a way where she's now writing book 2 and she already has the notes for book 3. And she's like a little child. She's up late at night. She says, I have more energy than I know what to do with.
Yeah.
And all of that is just from this one particular book being revitalized and her adding more to it and then seeing the finished product in her hand. It was like somebody just gave her this gift. And again, what your book says is that what you know matters. Who you are, what you've been through, all of that matters. And people appreciate it and learn from it. So here she is, a lifetime of work, and it's going to be a series now for her, and made a total difference in her life at 77 years old.
Here's the question. Are you ready to write? Have you already written but are stuck?
Or is it just sitting there somewhere?
Yeah, under the stairs.
Your manuscript. Maybe it's not edited. Maybe it's not polished.
Yeah.
And we'll help you with all of that as well. Because, and we can't tell you the amount of manuscripts that we read where the editing is so off. And that really does make a difference.
Sure does.
So we'll talk to you about editing and punctuation and all of that, because that's towards the end, you know, after your book's been written or as you go along.
Yeah.
But it's an important thing to put a book out that looks polished, professional, that reads well, that flows, that's not a drudge for people to get through. So all of that will be included as well.
Yeah. Let me pop a little bit of advice and help right here, because when Aingeal Rose talks about editing, one of the things we say to people all the time is never edit your own book, and also never edit as you're writing. Never, ever, ever do that, because what happens is you get stuck and you rewrite a paragraph or a few lines, and next thing, that's all you've done all day.
You stop the creative flow.
You stop the creative flow. So what we say to people is write. Just keep writing. Don't stop. And then the time will come when editing becomes necessary. And that is when you start to feel your book coming to life. That is when you edit. Okay, let's listen to Abraham Lincoln. What did he say? He said, give me 6 hours to cut down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. Why I popped this slide in here is we help you sharpen the axe so that you don't have to. In other words, we are going to hit the ground running with your writing. We're not going to be spending 4 of the 6 months sharpening the axe. We're hitting the ground. We're arriving in the forest with our sharpened axe. We're ready to go. So here's where this whole thing gets nuts altogether. And I know many people have written us over the last short while saying, how much does this cost? How much does it cost? Coaching normally costs thousands of dollars, as we all know. And indeed, my own rate is $1,000 a day, and Aingeal Rose is somewhat higher also. But if you enroll in this pilot program, it's only $1,200 for this unbelievable assistance, guidance, coaching all the way to your book. This is the first time we've ever offered this. This is the first time we've done it. It's the first time it's happened, and you don't want to miss it. If you have an idea for a book and haven't started it, or if you have started it and it's languishing, then the thing to do is to get on board this. So what I'd like to do now is just to spend a couple of moments answering questions, because I know that there always are questions, and we're going to pop back to the chat box just to see.
Can I say something?
Sure, Aingeal Rose, you go ahead and talk.
Yeah, I just want to be very clear that this is going to be a group coaching session. In other words, it's the reason why the amount of people is limited. So, and that's for the reason that everybody gets personal attention, everybody gets their needs met, everybody shares. So it's going to be in a group setting online, just like we're doing now. And also, it does not include publishing your book. We have to be really clear about that. And publishing is something else. Whether you use us, whether you go to Amazon and you do it yourself, that's up to you to decide after the fact. But we just want to be clear that this is for coaching, and that coaching includes, is it an hour and a half meeting once a week?
Yeah.
So that means 4 times a month. You'll be online with us. You'll be sharing your progress. We'll be encouraging you. So you will have homework in the sense that, writing your book is your homework. And any problems you have, of course, you can email in between, but it is set up to give you private attention and to help you through whatever process you're going through with it. So I just wanted to be really clear about that this is what you're getting. And it is true that if you have ever gone to any of these huge workshops, where at the end they sell you a coaching program, I myself have never been able to avail myself of mentorship in that way because I could never afford the prices. And, we're talking $25,000 for 3 months. We're talking $100,000 for a year, crazy numbers. So this is truly our gift to you. And part of the reason we're doing this is because not only do we love books and we love publishing, but it is so that people who are just everyday people who really have incredible gifts to share in this world will have the opportunity to do so. So we hope that you'll join us. We'll be excited to whoever decides to come on board with this. And like I say, there's nothing more rewarding than having Mr. UPS deliver your box of books at your door in print, in color, with your name on it, with your Library of Congress number on the inside, with your ISBN number on the back. I mean, it's wonderful. So I just needed to be clear about that.
Okay, so some of the questions were, you answered them, Aingeal Rose, but just to clarify, we do have a degree of flexibility. So in other words, if anybody wants to join us today and you say, well, look, I can only do Thursdays or Mondays is my day or Sundays is the only time I can do it, let us know, because if we get enough people for a particular day, we'll slot you into that day. In other words, we're ultimately flexible. We want to make this work for you.
We're not going to do private sessions, though. I mean, if somebody can't make Saturday and they need a different day, we won't be doing one-on-ones with this. So it's only if we have a surplus of people who need to be scheduled on a different day. That's the flexibility. So, but we do hope that you'll commit to Saturday mornings. And we go from there.
Okay. Now we've got some great questions lining up here. Kimberly asked, does it include editing? Aingeal Rose mentioned about editing. Editing is a whole specialist area in its own right. Mm-hmm. So we don't offer it only
in this course, not in this course.
Not in this workshop. Yeah. We do offer it as a service, but not in this course. But what we do...
It goes under publishing, Kimberly.
Yeah, it goes under publishing. But what we do offer is that as we go along, especially towards the closing weeks, we do guide you as to where to get good editing and how to edit and all of that, and what to watch out for and what to look for and so on. Because recently a friend of ours paid a lot of money for editing too and came back, it was a total disaster. It was worse. It was terrible. But anyway, so we help you and we guide you in that way, but we won't physically edit your book in this course.
Not in this course.
Yeah, we can do.
It is a service we offer under our publishing.
Yeah. Next question. Can you review a current book of ours and give advice on editing, changing, and publishing? Absolutely, yes. Now, you can choose to bring that book into this coaching program and we'll work our way through it in that way for you. Or you could, I'm getting that you've already written it and it just needs editing, changing, and publishing. We are also running soon, I wasn't going to mention this, but we will be running soon an actual publishing course, publishing coaching. Mm-hmm. And that's where perhaps we should point you, because you've already done the writing and all of that. And that's where you'll get the editing, the changing, the layout, the structure, the book covers, front and back, ISBNs, all of that. That's where you'll get it. So stay tuned if that's what you want. We will guide you there. Next question, will there be a replay? Yes, we're recording this. We will replay it. We will make it available. It'll be available to you to review it as you need it. The next question, is there marketing included?
Not in this program. This program is designed to help you write a book. It's to help you finish what you have already started, perhaps, or start from the beginning. That's what this program is. So when you talk about marketing, that's also something that goes under the heading of publishing. And we do our own type of marketing, but we're not publicists in the sense that we're not going to get you on radio shows, do Facebook ads for you or anything like that. Our publishing course is, again, it's designed to allow you to get your book published, and we don't go into the expenses ourselves of publicists. We can point you to people who can be publicists, and you can have your own relationship with them, and I've done so, and it works very, very, very well.
But here's something that we can offer, though, because I mentioned we do podcasts and YouTube videos and stuff. And I did say that anybody who does this writing coaching with us will be automatically accepted for us to publish their book if that's what you want to do in the next coaching program. But also, we will happily interview you about your book.
We
And
will
in
do
that
that.
way, and in that way, there's free publicity.
And it will go on YouTube.
YouTube
Yep.
and our podcast. And that's got wide distribution too. So that's a little bonus for you in terms of publicity.
And just to mention real quickly with the publishing, even though this is not really about the publishing, but since you're asking, our distribution goes worldwide. If anyone knows about publishing, there's a master catalog that most stores use to order books from. And when you publish with us, not only are you on Amazon worldwide, Amazon in Europe, Amazon here, but you're also in 40,000 other book distribution centers. So that's a big thing when you are considering publishing, that you want your book to be seen worldwide and not necessarily only on Amazon. Okay, so that's just another little point, but that's later. Our coaching program now, like I said, is designed to help you finish your book and have it ready for publication. And that alone is a big thing for some people. And that's why we're starting there and then we're continuing.
Okay, we have a few questions about the recordings of the weekly coaching sessions. Yes, they will be recorded and available to you, so you can go back on any of them at any point in time. Absolutely, yes. The question was asked in different ways. So if you miss a session, you can access the recording.
The only disadvantage of that, I'm just going to say, yes, you will have the recording and you will get the learning from what we covered. But what you miss is your own personal attention that you do get when you actually physically show up for the meetings. You get to talk to us about what you've done so far, where you're having trouble, and you get advice in that way, which is invaluable, really, if you find yourself stuck someplace.
Okay, so that was all the questions and answers. Now let's go through a quick summary because we appreciate you staying on and we are winding down. So here's the summary. Have you started but don't know how to continue? Have you written your book but feel it will never be good enough? Or do you suffer from writer's block? Or you just need plain good old help and guidance? And if that's the case, then we're here to help you because we find people ask questions. And here's what you need to ask yourself. Has fear of failure kept you from writing your book? Have you procrastinated for years about it and kept your book under the stairs like I did for 25 years? Do you suffer from writer's block? Are you simply too busy? Do you believe your book would open new doors for you and your business? Are you ready to finally get your book written? Well, now, here's my commitment to you and our commitment to you. Your success with your book is my highest purpose. And I commit to that and I honor that because I believe that everybody has a book in them. As Aingeal Rose has pointed out several times, it's the most beautiful thing. And your success, if you follow these principles and this guidance and the coaching, you will achieve that success and we will have a joyful celebration. Okay, so now's your chance to get your book finally finished with expert, step-by-step guided coaching from both of us, but primarily myself, with guided coaching as master publishers. And this is how you do it. You enroll using this link. There you go. Just click on that link to enroll and we'll get notification of it and we'll get you sorted. Absolutely. All right, now there's a couple of more little things I want to do for you to wind up. I'm going to leave that link there on the screen for a second. You will never be stuck again. after it. You will never be stuck with writing again, because the tips and techniques and guidance that you're going to get, you will never be stuck again. That's a promise. The writer's block will be removed forever, and you will have moved from wannabe writer to author. You will be able, like our good friend Darrell Oakes, to be able to call yourself an author. And that is the most beautiful thing.
And there's a lot of credibility in that, Ahonu. People do view authors with credibility these days. When you say you've written a book or you have your physical book to hand out to somebody, it does impress people.
It does, yeah.
That considers you a professional in your field. Yeah. That's also just a wonderful feeling.
Okay, we did promise you a little gift, an unannounced gift, and that is the little checklist. Direct download link for that little checklist right now. That little End Procrastination Forever checklist for you as our gift to you for attending today. And here again is that link. It is in the chat, but there it is on the screen for you. So that brings us to the end of our session today. I do want to say to you, thank you so much for being with us. I know Aingeal Rose has a little conclusion here.
Thank you very much for attending, and we look forward with working with you.
Great. So from myself, Ahonu, and from Aingeal Rose, blessings and thank you, and bye-bye for now.